When he made the album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, it was cemented then on the second album that we have witnessed one of the greatest groups in music of all time, and I'm talking about Public Enemy. And we got the lead vocalist, the leader of the movement himself, the one and only Chuck D is here. Chuck D!
Yeah.
Chuck D!
Damn, that was like when Shaq used to come out with that and used to go that dun 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 off the NFL thing. Well, I mean, I'm honored. Like I said, listen, individual accolades is really difficult for me to absorb because I come from a collective.
Yeah.
I come from a group. And individually, okay, I got art books coming out because I think the art expression is an individual thing. But a collective, to me, is what a movement is. Individually, the only movement you can have is a bowel movement. So, really, seriously. And a lot of people keep that ish in them. So I'm saying,
a lot of them constipated.
I'm saying, I tell people, I said, listen, I'm like a comet, man. When you see me, it's an event. And then I go back into orbit, into the solar system. I appear to appear. And I keep a floor on the second floor of hip-hop that you can walk up to. And I tell everybody, I said, listen, come see me before you go up to the penthouse. 50 floors up. Now we in the 50th year hip-hop. I'm on the second floor. See me. You can walk up the staircase. Then you want to go up. If you miss me, you're going to be up there, and you're going to probably take the shuttle right straight down to the bottom again, and it's hard to get up to the second floor because the door is locked. So see me on the way up. And I could get up there anytime.
Yeah.
But I ain't staying up there. I'll go right back down there close to the ground on the second floor where I'm cool. Now I'm up at the top telling everybody we put together this 4-part documentary, which is a merger between PBS and the BBC, called Fight the Power, How Hip-Hop Changed the World. And the most important word in that whole sentence is world.
Yes.
50 years. Nothing gets 50 years without at least having an area of discussion of where it came from and a high discussion that everybody got to sit, pause, and say, oh, yeah, this thing is a serious thing. I got to be able to absorb, as opposed to saying this never just been juvenile stuff with me. Understand this. I'm not in awe of hip-hop, y'all. I'm 12 years older than hip-hop. August 11th, 1973, I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I seen it when it come along with a kid on a tricycle. My responsibility and accountability to make sure somebody don't drive it in a ditch. I'm not in the business of making black people look bad.
Yeah.
I'm not in that business. I know that might be whatever. I'm not in the business of making black culture look bad. And I'm not in the business of making hip-hop look bad. And I'm not also trying to say change the world, because society is what it is. Hip-hop gets a lot of blame, but you got to look at society first. Talking about the things like, oh, it's really a sad thing what happened to Migos and Takeoff, but America has a gun thirst problem.
Yes.
That is never, ever, ever has gotten rid of. That is the person, that is the situation to confront, and that's what Public Enemy was able to do. From a collective, it never was about just me. I came with a crew of Public Enemy
Griff.
and a crew with the Bomb Squad.
Yes.
Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley, Eric Vietnam, Sadler, and then, of course, people like Griff and Flavor added into the production area. Then you had Public Enemy on the other side, Terminator X, Professor Griff, Flavor Flav, the S1Ws, who we know by names from James Bomb, the Pop Diesel, the Brother Roger and Brother James. They just that's them, the S1, whatever, whoever they are. I know these people as individuals, and we went around the world to change the world, to tell people that, yo, man, this hip-hop thing is the best method of communicating to the masses, because it comes through culture, which brings us together as human beings with the human spirit, and knocks the differences to the side. That's the beautiful thing about culture. It's diametrically opposed to government, which like to split you up, categorize you, pull the shim-sham on you.
Take your money.
Take your money, make the money, and then take it back again. And so governments could do a better job. So Yo Bum Rush the show, when I came in and y'all was playing it, and people was like, how you feel, Chuck? It's like listening to your first child. You know, Yo Bum Rush the Show was so significant that MTV Raps named itself off of Yo Bum Rush the Show. Yeah. Because Yo MTV Raps was a UK show first, which is Public Enemy's base. Public Enemy's headquarter base is London. That's why you hear on that album, the first word you hear on It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back is "Welcome, London."
Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay, we got the album cover right here.
It was a live concert in London.
DB brought this.
And it was pandemonium because they was waiting for the spaceship of Public Enemy to descend. And that was what they called the British invasion.
Okay.
And we said not only will we actually show the United States, so we had to come up through the ranks and the ropes on the LL Cool J and the Def Jam tour and Eric B. and Rakim, who had a year on us, you know, and then you had Houdini, the veterans, and Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew. Those are our mentors.
And y'all was all on that tour?
1987. But you got to understand. Yeah. We rookies then.
Yeah.
Us, we sharing a bus with the greats. That's a Sonic. Big up to Daddy-O and Delight. 13 people on a 12-seater bus.
Yep.
Out of that bus ride, you had 3 albums that bounced off of that. That album right there, Takes a Nation, In Full Gear by Stetson Sonic, and 3 Feet High and Rising because Prince Paul's the DJ for Stetson Sonic.
For De La Soul.
And also, out of that summer with the Def Jam tour in 1987. Also about that tour, because we're opening up, you know, the big stars basically got the tickets wrapped up and they got the radio station. So people outside of Kaiser in Oakland trying to get in, and who's outside trying to get in? Too Short.
Too Short.
So,
in 87.
So myself and Daddy-O are like, yo, come on with us. So myself and Daddy-O were like ambassadors to the rest of the hip-hop nation because, you know, I mean, at that particular time, you came out of New York, you was a rap artist, you was a star. You wasn't so much inviting to all those areas that you go into.
No,
so
New York was hard on anybody outside of New York.
Well, we from Long Island, so we understood that.
Yeah, okay.
So we went around on our first tour and was engaging to every city we went to, and that's how Public Enemy slowly built a following in the United States. But immediately, London was the base, and also the base of really why the BBC took to this, and also PBS. Is high discussion.
Let me about Chuck D here. I was at the tour at the was it the Kaiser or the Oakland Coliseum when y'all came to Oakland?
Oakland Coliseum was 1988, and that's the night they also threw a firecracker at Will Smith, and then they brought the dude backstage, and Will dropped him like boom. So way before the smack,
Will punched him out.
I said, yo, listen, straight up and down. They like brought the dude to Will, and they said, and they was like, this the dude that threw the firecracker at you, right? And all I saw was like 14 heads do this. Look down. Will dropped him like bow. So I seen the smack before the smack.
Wow, the real history.
The real history, yo.
Punch before the
smack.
The
dude threw a firecracker on the stage and it hit Will in the chest and bounced off and went pow. And they brought him in the back and Will dropped him in the back of the place where the Warriors won the championships.
Ali, Will Smith.
Boom.
What was the dynamic like at that time? You mentioned LL, you mentioned EPMD. Like, who was the man at that time?
Who was the main dude?
Yeah, so to speak. Who was the biggest? Was LL the biggest draw at that time? Or?
You goddamn right. Okay. LL Cool J, it's hard as hell. What?
Yeah.
Because, you know, LL came out. LL was the first dude that really seriously said, y'all could be a crew and a collective and a group. I'm a one-man destruction force. You know what I'm saying? Run DMC is the only thing that they would say, you know what, man, we doing our thing, but every time we look at this dude from Hollis, yo, man, this cat is a fucking problem, man. It's a problem. LL, listen, people talk that's what they want. Listen, it's great for y'all to make your lists and top 10 and all. The bottom line is proving this thing in an arena when you got an hour. I'll be looking at cats, it's like, okay, you that guy, okay. First of all, I'll be like, first of all, he gonna run out of breath.
Okay.
Number 2, after the second day of tour, you're going to lose his voice and get it back 3 days later. But that's okay. You know, we're going to work him through. We're going to have, you know, you don't become great overnight by yourself the first day. You got to come, like in anything, in boxing, go in and say, yeah, my first fight, I'm going to go in there and not, you'll get your head handed to you. You got to be humble and you got to learn. My mentors were Ecstasy, may he rest in peace, from Houdini, and Dougie Fresh.
Who still look like he 30.
Yo, man, and seriously, I had to follow instructions from them every night, because every night you out there, if you don't come out with, you're going to a crowd that really don't know you, and you could get tossed and lost off tour if you ain't happening. There's no reason they need the first 3 acts.
Yeah.
They're irreplaceable. They can replace them with anybody. So, yeah, LL Cool J. Yeah. Meaning that he could do a straight hour, and he ain't taking no. His slow jam is giving him some breath.
Yeah.
And every single song go bow, 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 bow. One man. He was the first dude that came along and said, I'm a soloist, and everybody else was a collective in a group. Yeah. That's why I thought the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was derogatory. No shade on Biggie or Pac. The first solo in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should have been LL Cool J.
Should have been LL Cool J. I say.
Hey, listen, I'm a sports fan.
Yeah.
I don't like when a person come in and it ain't based on opinion. It's based on fact. People like Steph Curry, one of the greatest of all time. Yes, he factually will bust your ass.
Yes. Thank you, Chuck. Come on.
He will factually bust your ass. I mean, and I got to throw this at to my Oaktown brother. Why everybody treating like the Warriors ain't the current champions?
Bro, I don't understand it. For the love of mankind.
I thought it was sorcery, really. When they won last year, I said, the fuck out of here. This is sorcery. Yeah. I mean, and they treat it like
it's nothing.
Like, it's like
talk, Chuck.
I'm a Knicks fan. I was 12 when my team won it last. I'm 62 today.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
50 years ago, bro.
Yo, man. We trying to get in like the play-in, and then you'll see everybody like do blockades around here, right? I mean, that's how much I love my team, right?
Yeah.
Hey, y'all won last year, and it's just like, no, everybody treating it like,
it's nothing. They used to us winning.
And then they start talking about, but who's going to look who looks like it's going to do it next year once they get Wemby. It's like,
Chuck, you know what it is. New York can't do 2 things at once. So the last time you won a championship is the year hip hop was born. So you got to pick one.
Exactly. That's the beauty of this documentary, because we explain truly out of when everything was left. They left this city for dead.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the president was that was sketchy, because is he going to get impeached? He just straight out quit.
Yeah.
Nixon quit. Yeah. Said like I'm the fuck out of here, right? So the whole country is like what? So when it came down to New York City, they were like, listen, the whole country is on skates. Y'all not getting nothing. New York City dropped dead. It's on the headline on Daily News, which meant, sociologically, the school systems cut back on everything.
Yeah.
Not only sports programs, but they cut back on arts,
music,
and and people always, Lord Jamar, big up to Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian. He said, man, everybody was always musically inclined as far as the black family concerned, all across the USA. So out of that, people had records, and they made music out of what? It's turntables, a mixer. And I'm telling you, y'all always hear like New York, because my mother and father born in Harlem Hospital. Like people come to me with New York, although I'm from Long Island. I said my mother and father born in Harlem Hospital, 1938, 39. You come with your numbers, and matter of fact, they lived on 151st Street between Broadway and Amsterdam. That's how they met each other, right? So I know more about New York than anybody, because I study geography and people.
Yeah.
So. But people don't admit that New York is a country as hell.
Yeah.
Because everybody came from down south or the Caribbean or some whatever. So don't act like you always been hip. So I would come out and say, well, they got 2 turntables. Maybe if that one break down, maybe that's when, that's a spare turntable. I didn't understand 2 turntables. And in high school, they was making mixers and stuff like that. What's a mixer? I guess make a cake or something like that.
Yeah.
So
remember that? Yeah.
This was all crazy new in 75, 76. Like, what the fuck is they doing? This is crazy. And that's what engaged me into hip hop. I'm like, I couldn't understand the technical thing, how they could make a record go on and on and on to the break of dawn. Like, I used to like this record called Galaxy by War, and it started on the radio because you had the best radio DJs in New York. People like Gary Bird, who somehow they failed to mention that he did a rap song in 1982 called "The Crown," which Stevie Wonder produced.
Gary Bird?
Gary Bird. Y'all can look it up and Google it. It was about 13 minutes long, and he broke down us as a people in a rhyme. So anyway, Gary Bird was one of the leading DJs in New York at a station at the end of the dial, Super 16, AM radio. That's where they allowed us blacks. They didn't allow us on FM until like mid-70s. And you hear Gary Bird with the great voice. This is the GBE Gary Bird, 1600 on your WWRL dial. This is LTD coming at you with the hits. And explain it. And you be like, listening to the radio, like, even when it's like, like, that voice is like incredible.
Your voice.
Come on,
well, all the DJs have voice. This is the Moon Rocker, Frankie Crocker. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, whoa, they could sell you anything.
Uh-huh.
And the minute in the middle of the 80s, Kiss came along and tell you some bullshit like, more music, less talk. What the fuck? Yeah, you only hear a DJ talk about sandwiches and the weather and shit.
Uh-huh.
I want to hear you talk about the groups and the music and all that. But that's when the business started to take over.
Business came in.
But New York helped birth this thing of hip-hop because of the DJs, and that's where the MC, and like Melly Mel speaking for himself in the documentary, Yourself Speaking. We had scholars from inside the music controlling the narrative. You know what I'm saying? And that's very important. Now, I think the art could be the art no matter what. My man Scarface, big up to Scarface, Brad Jordan, he said, you know what, Chuck, man, the social media thing, man, it's cool, man, but you know what? It's like everybody can't be at the Sandbox at the same time. You got strip pole could be where the strip pole could be. Champagne could be. But so, you can't have champagne in the Sandbox.
Yeah.
And there ain't nothing, in social media, you don't know who's 5 years old communicating with you.
Yeah.
You 30 years old on the avatar, but you 15 years old. Or better yet, you 55 years old, but you 30 years old in your avatar. All y'all think, wait a minute, what happened to the goddamn categories?
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, back in the day, when myself and Hank Shockley would promote a gig, we got flyers and whatnot, and we go into this little place, a bar.
Flyers.
Right?
Y'all remember what flyers
are? Flyers,
right.
We promote the party, right?
Pieces of paper.
Let me reel this back. Let me reel this back. Let me stop going back to Noah and his damn ark. All right? All right, so we have a little flyer said, we poster it on poles, and, you want to leave it up in the stores and businesses, and let's see if we could leave a few in Steer Inn. And Steer Inn was like this little bar, hold about like 60 people, got a jukebox in it, same clientele goes in there, and we go in there, and woman behind the bar, she about 55, 60 years old, whatnot, and say, excuse me, ma'am, could we like put out flyers in here? And first they looking at it, right? Oh, this is a DJ, and they got Arthur Price out on the jukebox, right? And they drinking like hardcore 1955, Brooke Benton type whiskey, right? Cigarette over the thing dangling out of the woman's mouth and never seems to drop. You know what I'm saying?
The ashes never fall.
Yeah, baby. Put it a little bit over there, but we don't want none of that headache people up in here. You know what I'm saying?
Headache people?
Yeah, that's called headache people once you break your clientele.
Yeah.
You already got your clientele in there, and then all of a sudden we're going to have a disco night. 14-year-old, 18, 19 years old, and then what happens sometime? It might be a shootout.
Yeah.
See, on an old people night back then, you would have a stab out. And they all know each other, and go patch them up and be back the next Wednesday and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I'll cut you.
But I'm just saying, and this is all the way across 3,000 miles of black USA, I'm saying that you every once in a while, you got to have accountable high discussion about this. I come from a family where, if you in the back, there's a separation between me and my parent, me and my uncle. And I've been told, like, you turn around. And Heather got that look like, can't take your ass nowhere. Yeah. That's what you say to white folks. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I've been seeing so much in the hip-hop water. I said they never had that conversation. Or that older person said, can't take your ass nowhere.
Yeah, you can tell. I want to ask you a couple of questions because I haven't seen the documentary. Tracy told me she saw a piece of it. I really
You got plenty of time.
Did I?
You got listen. Every year after the year 50, you got.
You know what?
I mean, how many days? Hey, how many days come on your desk, Sway? Really, seriously. I be on so much things. I don't catch myself until 2 years later.
Okay, all right.
Now you feel better, right?
I feel a whole lot better because I was like, what? It happened? I just wanted to, because you asked, I just wanted to make sure.
We are blessed for your participation, sir.
Oh, man, I'm blessed that you even asked for it, And so I'm proud to be a part of this Fight the Power Hip Hop Change the World premieres Tuesday, January 31st on PBS. In your opinion, give me some examples of how hip hop has changed and impacted the world.
Well, LL was the first soloist.
Okay.
It changed in the 90s because record companies felt that groups were too much of a hassle for them. Mm-hmm. Different from the rock world. The rock world, they had to deal with all of Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
You got to deal with Zach, Tom Morello, Timmy Comerford, Brad Wilk in negotiations. When hip-hop exploded, they said, man, we can't have like X-Clan and all the X-Clan up in the negotiation table. We got to just deal with one of these Negroes. And that's when contracts came in and they made it convenient to have a soloist because they didn't want to renegotiate or renegotiate with a whole room full of people that was going to turn that motherfucking place out. Uh-huh. Look, this building ain't always has security at the bottom. What do you think this shit is for?
Yeah.
Now, I know the people for years and shit like that, but it's like, oh, we have Houston, we have a problem. You know what I'm saying? And New York, we have a problem. We can't. It's one thing to do business, but we can't have everybody come up in the executive suits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, the biggest difference is as it's co-opted, and because, you could keep art to yourself. Yeah. I tell people all the time, I think you could keep it in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Keep it on the bowl, keep it in the shower, or you hit the notes. Mary ain't shit, you know what I'm saying? You hit the notes in the shower too. Fantastic. Everybody got art in them. The process of getting art out of your ass into a business means that you got to work it out with people. You got to work with skilled people. The part of art, the second half of art, you got to co-opt something in order for it to get to people. You can keep it to yourself. Matter of fact, social media is a fantastic thing to make you get swole on your own head. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, man, all of my followers mean I'm the star. All right, everybody's a star like Sly and the Family Stone. But with power comes great responsibility. Hip-hop has changed the world in so many different ways that I seen, and I was on 116 tours in 116 countries, coincidentally, right? I seen myself and Ice-T, you can ask Berg this. That's my nickname for Ice-T, Berg, because he's my older brother. One of the few dudes I could call an older brother. him and Wonder Mike, right?
Okay.
Yo, they stopped the war in Croatia for one day. And Yugoslavia Republic, Croatia, right? And you got Slovenia and Serbia, Montenegro. They stopped the war between Serbs and Croats for one day. So myself, Public Enemy, Ice-T, and Pac was supposed to be on that tour. But he couldn't make it because of circumstances that happened, right? It was America's Most Wanted tour. They stopped the fighting for one day. Mercenaries were at the gig. Both sides were kind of at the gig. They wasn't identifying themselves. They all the same people, but they all kind of in the same arena. Then they said, yo, y'all got to get the fuck up out of town because we ready to go back to war tomorrow. Soon as we got out of that whole area, right, there's like, oh, there was a bomb in a town called Biatch. Ain't that something, right? That was the name of the town.
Biatch?
Or maybe Biatch, because it's Baltic. So, they got all, the Baltic regions, they like, we not having a language that the next province is having. So they all got their own thing. So you can't really mix Yugoslavian with German because they like, nah, they got to get on our shit. We ain't getting on their shit. So that's hip-hop changing the world. You go to Brazil and you're looking at 80,000 people who basically might, in the stupid United States of America rules. The reason I say that, because there's an arrogance with USAers. Number one, it's arrogant when you go anywhere else and you say, I'm American. Well, fuck, Canadians are American. You don't count them.
Yeah.
Caribbeans are Caribbean Americans. That's the Americas. It was taken over. There's South America, which is bigger, physically than North America. So we should call ourselves USAers, United States side citizens or whatever, whenever you go anywhere else. So I've seen places like you go to Brazil, you look at 80,000 people who would be categorized as black, but they would split up in so many different quadroons, octoroons down there, so they could still have white supremacy over them because they split up people into people of color into so many different races.
Yeah.
So you could actually rule. So. But in the United States, they had the one drop rule. It's like, you know what? You got one drop of black blood, then you got the cooties. You know what I'm saying? So you're looking at 80,000 people rock to the beats. You know what I'm saying? From a Biz Markie to a Lupe Fiasco. Changes the world. What are they spitting? The future of hip-hop and rap music, whether people like it or not, is Africa. Yeah. All 54 nations.
Absolutely.
It ain't nothing new. People are like, oh man, they spitting over in Africa now. No, listen, they ain't new. You knew. You know what I'm saying? You 32 years old. You knew. You just because you never knew doesn't mean that it's new. You know what I'm saying? So
Africa is the future of hip hop.
Africa been the future.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, cats are so sophisticated in Africa. Number one, you come to the game. Now I'm asking y'all this. Because I've gotten in arguments in the past to people, and I got friends who tell me about the world. They ain't been nowhere. So I got to lean on them. I said, so give a super rapper is somebody that got 4 languages in their pocket, right? Could spit at you in 4 languages and braid them.
Yeah.
And then in South Africa still do the click. How is that not a super rapper?
Yeah.
How is that not a super MC? Because he's not for the United States of America? It's a fucking arrogance. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing.
Please do.
The arrogance of the United States of America is to think that we automatically is the best. It's some bullshit. An African will look at you side face and like, what the fuck makes you better? Because, you got a greater white man over there. And when we suck up after that, right? So, the arrogance is the same arrogance y'all feel when a New Yorker walk in the room.
It's the same. Oh, damn. That's a hell of an arrogance.
Hey, wherever you at in the United States of America, you feel a New Yorker walk in the room.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you feel it.
It's like the NY is on our forehead. We don't need a hat. The NY is right here. What the fuck is up, y'all? Country ass bumpkins, I'm here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you be like, damn, tone that New York shit down. Now me, I'm on the tours in the beginning. Now, when I first started out, of course, you started now, and I got age on me. But what Public Enemy did on those tours, we taught brotherhood, sisterhood, and civility. When you go into Columbus, Ohio, turn that fucking New York shit down and fit in.
Yeah. Because
you could be coming back in the box with some arrogance, especially if after the concert, you go to the club, everybody know you ain't from here. You think that you ain't got no light. This is before cameras. You don't think you got a spotlight on, you got a spot. You new here. Meaning that we used to say, listen, before you talk to these are rules that ourselves and Ice-T used to tell the younger heads then. Before you talk to the girl in the city, talk to the dudes. That might be their sister, their girl, their wife, or ex-wife. They ignore the glow, the fact that you're there. Build with them before you go to the VIP section. When you build with them and you all good, then you can have it any way you want to have in that town, as long as you don't get arrogant. And when that stopped, when hip-hop tours stopped and there was a disconnect between acts, of like, I'm going to show up when I'm going to show up, and that group going to show up when they going to show up, and there was no connection, that's when the problems even started to happen even more so, because there was no connection between the acts, and everybody was coming in. And there was always competition. Yeah. But when we rolled out, we used to have a meeting. And once again, I got named Berg, myself, Ice-T, my crew, and Iceberg, Ice-T. Beginning the tour, we all be in a room. We said, listen, we getting ready to do this tour, y'all. We know this group is opening up, and we closing it down. We all in this together because we coming to do 4 hours. This is a 4-hour show in this city. Everybody do their thing. Ghetto Boys do their thing. Ice-T do their thing. Kid and Play. It's a mixed bag, but we all in this together. The number one responsibility, we come in the city, it's like stepping in somebody's house. You take off your shoes, you give grace, honor, and dignity in that city. You do the performance, whatever you got to do on stage. It could be crazy up to the normal. And then we get out of here safe, wanting people to see more. Because see, this is the bottom line. In any performance or any music or art, anything could be a spectacle. Anything could get you interested. That gets you in the door. Spectacular keeps you there. Spectacular keeps you coming back for more. That's a difference maybe between the rock stations here. You see, y'all see the rock heads come through. Yeah. It's like, oh, there's Stevie Nicks again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They go, ones, and when they die, the whole world shake. Like Jeff Beck. Oh my God. And people are like, who? And I'm like, yeah, they know. You know what I'm saying? So hip hop to me is our dignified artistic grace, and I honor Heather B because of the work she does. It does never go away.
Yes.
You know? A bad stain will always stay around because you could make a mistake on media and TV now and it just stains you the rest of your life, right?
Ruin your legacy.
Well, what happens to the great shit? What happens to every song that you did, you spent your time on, that's honored as a piece of art, that's our foundation. That's how we should treat, curate, caretake, honor the works. We people say that we might have lost jazz and the blues, and our narrative and the curation is carried off by everybody else except for us because we just don't know. So we try to help with informative situations that said, listen, this is never to be forgotten. I honor Melly Mel.
Yes.
I honor KRS, who's a chairman, and Curtis Blow of the Hip Hop Alliance, which is the first hip hop union. And this ain't no sorcery and no magic trick. We're 50 years old, man. The art form is 50 years old. This is real people shit. Everybody in here, right? On your way to looking at Medicaid. You know what I'm saying? Better yet, medicine is real for y'all. And then you got to figure out like, damn, I don't want to do this medicine. I got to do this lifestyle. For a long period of time, they felt that there's one way in the hip-hop lifestyle that get pushed out there. And who you're not really going to, no big pun intended, you're not going to sway a 34-year-old on their life.
Yeah.
But you can really be impressionable to a 14-year-old on a lifestyle. So if you pushing the drink and somebody at 14 gets into the drink or whatever and does it for 20 more years, you got 20 years on top of the 14 at 34 years old. Cats got to start making decisions. And the amount of people that we lost between 40 and 60 the last 7 years can go off the damn page.
We talk about that.
So it doesn't happen overnight. This happens with a culmination and a buildup. So we can have the other side come in and say, okay, like I'm part of Hip Hop Public Health with Dr. Olajide Williams and Doug Fresh, and there's a reason why Doug Fresh looks 27.
Yeah.
Doug Fresh, our first tour, everybody tried to go to whatever fast food spot. Doug Fresh got a cook coming in at 21 years old cooking baked fish. Now, it's a joke back then, right? Ain't a joke now.
At 21, he was doing
21.
That?
Chris was too. KRS was too. We traveled with a chef. He had a chef.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
DMC, a dude that...
He looks phenomenal.
And DMC was a dude that back in the day said, man, I drink so much 40. Dean said, yo, I'm going to put a tank outside my kitchen so when I turn on hot water, cold water, the next one is going to be OE. I was like, don't do that, D. Don't do that. And then D had some situations, and D turned it around like 25 years ago. So hip-hop could be a very important learning, teaching mechanism as well as, teaching and having us have a good time no matter what having a good time is. You can do whatever you want. The art, I feel the art can do whatever it wants to do. The presentation, the radio, the all that got to be a little bit more careful, more dignified and balanced on saying, you know what? I don't know if I could do this right now because that's not doing you no justice. It ain't even doing your fan base no justice. But you could keep it on your album. keep it as back in the day we used to say, "Oh yeah, that's track 8."
That's
you know what
yeah. That's a track cut.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. And I believe, like, yo, man, just like the language, I cursed a little bit, kind of like the flow with the everything, but you know, it's called pool room language, which means back in the day, in a pool room, anything goes. So if your ass is in a pool room at 2:15 a.m., then you got to expect pool room behavior, pool room atmosphere, man. Whatever goes, that's just to get down.
You read
know what I'm saying? That's the dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that, we got pool room at 10:15 a.m., man. It's like, no, it don't
That's
fit.
what we're talking about with how we program this show. I want to, one of the songs you made, Fight the Power, probably was one of the most criticized, scrutinized, rather, songs.
Not that I cared, because number one, I tell people today, first of all, like the last couple of generations, a generation is every 4 years.
Okay.
So maybe 5 years. So if you want to talk about hip hop, we've had 10 generations in hip hop over 50 years. Okay. At 15 years old, I was influenced by the Isley Brothers, Fight the Power.
Okay.
Big hit. First record I heard that had a curse word in it. Isley Brothers. I mean, they gods. You know what I'm saying?
Fight the power.
Yeah, well, better yet, Twist and Shout. Beatles covered them. You know what I'm saying? They don't get enough. I mean, there should be a documentary on the Isley Brothers. Yeah. I keep kicking this around. I mean, so anyway, yeah, Fight the Power. Influential. 14 years later, Spike Lee does a movie, and he invites Bill Stepney. Big up to Mr. Bill Stepney, who really made all this happen.
Shout out to Bill. That gave me my first production deal.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, with Stepson Records.
Right, Troubleneck Brothers?
Yeah, Troubleneck Brothers. And me and Tech had All City Records over there. Motion Man. We had Motion Man on his label.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mr. Bill Stepney, college mate of mine, just like Dre, Andre Brown, Dr. Dre from the East, and Harry Allen. We all sat in the same classrooms learning from Dr. Andre Strobert on the integrity of black music and the responsibility. This is 1982.
Wow.
Right? Okay. So Mr. Bill Stepney, Bill is also the first black executive for Def Jam. He gets me to go over to Def Jam and convinces me after I turned Rick Rubin down for 2 years. Because we wanted to get in the radio.
So you turned Rick Rubin, you told him no?
Of course, because we wanted to get in the radio. We wanted to do syndicated radio, rap radio in 1984. They looked at us like, "Are you kidding? Syndicated rap, what? That shit ain't going to be around, man, in 4 or 5 years." We said, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So
me and Tech ended up doing it.
I know, right? and very well, might add you. Look at you. I'm on the other side of this right now, right? So 84. So Rick would call me in 84 because I did a demo. Matter of fact, I passed the demo to Dre to play on the WBAU show, and I passed it over the lap of Jam Master Jay. So everybody, and all it was, Public Enemy #1 was really like a jingle because we didn't have enough rap records to fill 9 hours of the weekend. So it was like, I'm doing it, but this is, of course I get on the mic, the whole key was back then. The key for an MC back then with cheap systems is like not bars. It's like you get on there, if you sound like a kid, you ain't getting the mic. If you fuck up the DJ, you ain't getting the mic. If you off beat while the DJ's switching through, you get MCs today. I wonder if an MC can rock Good Times and the I Can't Stop. Because what an MC would do on different speeds is still ride the pony. And if you got thrown off the pony, throwing off the pony is like, I'm going to throw you a song that's going to be, I'm going to cut up a song 110 beats per minute, then 92 beats per minute, and then 103 beats per minute.
5 fingers.
You couldn't pick your song.
That's what we do to 5 fingers.
Right. Exactly. You couldn't pick your song. The DJ pick it, you get thrown off the pony and you ain't getting the mic. So that was the skill level back then. You would hear those original tapes with Melly Mel, Curtis Blow, Lovebug Starsky, and Mo D, all those cats, and the DJ would just be like, well, you don't know what's coming, but you better ride it. The minute you can't ride it, I'm turning that shit down.
And you're taking your mic.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where those beginnings, I kind of went off point on it, but the standard of MCing was high barred. It was a high barred assault, and that's where you have to learn from. I had to learn from that. And so Rick Rubin wanted to sign me, this is the point, as the component. He just had LL Cool J.
Yeah.
And LL Cool J talents were basically in the vernacular of T La Rock. Big words, really coming at you aggressively. LL Cool J was something that dropped out of the damn galaxy. I'm telling you, people don't know this today. 40 years later, LL Cool J, number one, the name would sound like a goddamn car. Matter of fact, they all sounded like cars. Run DMC. What the fuck is a Run DMC? Sound like a DeLorean? You know, LL Cool J. I remember, and here's another story. I could talk all day, and I'm trying to keep it neat. Hank Shockley and Harry Allen went to Manhattan Center, which was Ben Franklin High School. Def Jam they just came out of the independent label. We had played the Beastie Boys, MCA and Brazuti, the Purple Label stuff. And they were going to this school because we promoted gigs out in Long Island, 100 miles long. Yo, Hank, Harry, go up there, go get T La Rock's number. They go up there, right? I do the radio show. I'm expecting they come back. I said, did y'all get T La Rock's number? Because they would have to see a performance. It's T La Rock and others from the new Def Jam label. These dudes come back to the studio. I said, you get T La Rock's number? Yeah, but LL. I'm like, what the fuck is a LL? It sounds like, you know, some big 9-foot tall, you know? And they just kept saying, we got his number, LL. I'm like, what the fuck is a LL? Then they released LL, I Need a Beat. I said, oh,
man.
LL.
That LL, that changed the world.
Yeah. Then, yo, man, let me tell you, people talk about Rock the Bells, which number one, and Rick actually was orchestrating that whole thing. They tell the whole story.
Yeah.
And it was like, yo, matter of fact, people forget they were on the other side of Rock the Bells that we know. It was the Rock the Bells where he's rocking the
Mardi Gras,
the go-go beat.
The go-go beat, yeah, the ding ding,
the B-side. So Rick wanted me in the middle of that. Then he got Dre, an original concept, who invented bass. Dre invented that because he showed Rick Rubin what to do with the rolling 808. And the first song that you hear, the boom, is Together Forever by Run DMC. So Dre invented the 808 in hip hop. And then he came out with Pump That Bass later. But before that, it was the Run DMC Together Forever. He showed them on the Rolling 808 done at Chung King Studios. So they wanted me part of that.
Dr. Dre from Yo MTV Raps, what most people know, Who's the Man, the movie.
And they never give him credit.
They never gave him credit.
And
I didn't know that about
him. It's Rupert's original concept.
Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know he was doing
he invented the 808. Wow. And now, people before that, Africa Bambaataa and Soul Sonic Force with Arthur Baker, they helped create that big sound, but they didn't stay with it. Remember, looking for the perfect beat?
Looking for the perfect beat.
So we looking for the perfect beat, and we're like, I don't hear the perfect beat, except for the break. Beat this. Boom, 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 boom. That's what Larry Smith and them took that whole thing and went in their studios and put like, it's like that, bam, boom, boom, bam, boom, boom, bam, boom, 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 and Sucker MC. That, because all Sucker MC was action.
Yeah.
Action by, Curtis Blow and Crush Groove, and they took it and they put that, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, like, God damn. So these are the origins. So they wanted me in the middle, like, okay, damn, y'all got LL, y'all got Beastie Boys. I can't see myself doing Chucky D records. I know, of course, back then the standard was not bars. I had bars, but I would make a cheap mic sound like it's $1 million, and then somebody get the mic and say, I can't make it sound like this, and I point to my throat. Yeah, you can't. You know what I'm saying? But that's what is the standard then. So finally, we surrendered. We called, when I signed with Def Jam, it wasn't
What kind of contract was it?
Well, this shit was bullshit. But listen, I mean, because Russell and Rick's contract was bullshit because it was an experiment with CBS.
Okay. So that's why they gave bullshit contracts?
Well, if you got a bullshit contract, you shaving it off your bullshit contract.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's just what it was. It was an experiment. CBS was in the business of selling albums. Up to that point, hip-hop and rap music was a singles medium. They own, every A-side, B-side, we sliding singles, independents. CBS says, yeah, we're going to fuck with it, but it's better to sell some albums.
Yeah.
Curtis Blow was already selling albums with Mercury, but it was a different area of black music department that he was in. We talk about Def Jam was an experiment. And Crush Groove, when LL came out on Crush Groove and came out with Radio, that was the thing that made Def Jam say, we are seriously, legitimately the first super distributed, powerful rap label. So it was like, all right.
LL Cool J.
LL Cool J.
Give it up for LL.
Shit.
Chuck.
And I'm also honored to have LL Cool J.
Uh-huh.
I call him GOAT. I have a lot of GOATs. I have about 50 to 75 GOATs. So my list is thick with GOATs. Heather B's a GOAT.
Hey.
She don't know it.
Chuck D's a GOAT.
Yeah,
we all know it.
Yeah, growing old at no, let me say but they wanted me into the depth. So when you see the contract that I signed, it's not Public Enemy signing the Def Jam. Woo, 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 woo. No, we call it the Great Surrender, because we had to give up our radio dreams and become our artists.
But damn it. What a decision.
We need a part two.
We need a part two, Chuck.
Absolutely.
Real quick, Joseph Sikora, who played Tommy and Power, had a question for you. And it's in relation to how your lyrics, when I look at the lyrics that are being utilized against artists today, that's actually convicting them, being used in the court of law and under a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah.
I try to tell folks lyrics have been under scrutiny for a long time. And when you made Fight the Power, there's a lot of things you said that people pointed.
Yeah, but you know what? Fight the Power, to come back to that real quick.
Yeah.
It was the theme for Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. A lot of people have detached the song from the movie in retrospect going forward, because they think, Fight the Power is a standalone song. No, it was a song. That's why the key, back in the day, you had New York Talk Radio. The key in that movie was Samuel L. Jackson's character. Was DJ Love Daddy.
Yeah.
He was the key, because he was the one that was communicating to the people. They dismembered Black Talk Radio in the 90s in this city. You know what I'm saying? But back then, he was the key. So Fight the Power also was a message that was conveyed through Black Talk Radio at that particular time. A lot of people forget that, because they were like, okay, today they talk about Samuel L. Jackson, like, oh yeah, he's Agent Fury. He's like the cursing motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? No, his role inside Do the Right Thing was the radio reaching the people with the point of view, we need to look at ourselves and communicate with ourselves, and Fight the Power rode that. So the reason why you get the Elvis and the John Wayne line is because, Giancarlo Esposito says, hey, Sal, ain't no black people on the wall. So, right,
okay.
Ain't no black people on the wall.
Yeah.
So I went and pointed at Americana and said, you got to put some black people on the wall. Motherfuck him and John Wayne. Not so much a personal attack, but it's like, God damn, I'm tired of hearing about these two dudes all the time. How about our heroes too? And here's the trivia twist to it, not to bore you. There was a song by Clarence Reed, also went by the name of Blowfly, in 1980. He had a song on TK Records called Blowfly Rap, right? Inside there's a line, and make a long story short, there's a line in there where he's kind of saying he's a KKK, and the brother got trapped by the KKK, and he's doing all the voices, and the dude has a rhyme as a KKK Klansman and says, motherfuck you and Muhammad Ali.
That's why you got the line.
So that always stuck in my head, because back then, this is 1980, you talk about Muhammad Ali, we fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so,
Ali, boom, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I stuck in my mind, and 9 years later, I just flipped it. I said, well, motherfuck him and John Wayne. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's Joseph's question, but you kind of answered it. Go ahead.
What did he think of the Elvis movie?
Yeah, for real.
Elvis was
And you know why? Because it also has it's a hip hop soundtrack inside of the movie, and now it's being nominated for Best Picture. That's a interesting. That's a very and what's crazy about the Elvis picture is what's the girl, Doja Cat?
Yeah.
Yes.
She actually was up to be nominated for Best Song. But because it wasn't original, they used Elvis' sample of the Hound Dog. They knocked her out of the Academy running. But what's interesting is I believe there's a publishing conversation between Hound Dog and Elvis with a black writer.
Yeah,
so
Elvis didn't write that.
That's exactly right.
I can't think of the writer's name.
It's a lot to that.
I know he was the hero the most, but
he never gave a damn.
Hound Dog was written by Liba and Stoller.
Yeah.
You know, and they first wrote it for Big Mama Thornton in 1952. It already was a hit. These are songs that Elvis coming up, being raised in Tupelo and moving to Memphis. Memphis radio would play black music. And they were the first radio stations to really, exalt in black music, for white DJs like Dewey Phillips, black DJs like Rufus Thomas, who later on started damn near with records. He started Sun Records and later on started Stax Records with hit records. I ain't gonna get long-winded into that. Elvis grew up with these influences. His first record that he did, as a demo, Blue Moon of Kentucky by Wild Bill Monroe, which was a hillbilly record, country music. They called it hillbilly back then, which is derogatory. And then also That's All Right Mama by Arthur Big Boy Crudup, which was just blues. You know what I'm saying? Blues that turned into jump blues. After World War II, black folks wanted to be respected. You can't treat us like you treated us in the 30s. The New Blood said, listen, Jackie Robinson's playing for the Dodgers, and you can't just call us race people. You got to call us something. Negro was actually a respected word for us then. Billboard magazine, which was curated by Jerry Wexler, who's one of the creators of Atlantic Records at the time, he was in charge of the charts. And Paul Ackerman was his boss of Billboard Records, and he said, listen, these black folks are coming up. They're looking at the race records charts as being derogatory. You got to come up with something because there's this growing pride. And they're in New York, black folks in New York. It's World War II. Black folks is like, I just fought for this country. The young ones are like, man, fuck what they was doing in the 30s. This is like, we going into the 50s, respect us. Jackie Robinson playing with the Dodgers and shit like that. Respect us. So musically and culturally, the people who was in charge of music and the business and all that felt that they had to say something. Paul Ackerman sends Jerry Wexler home, says, listen, we got to come up with a new category. Race records just ain't going to do. These race people, they standing up. Jerry Wexler goes home, comes back, and says, I got a new title for our charts. You know what that title was?
What?
The Rhythm and Blues charts. The term R&B starts right there. Now, he didn't invent the music, but he invented the term. So I'm saying, and this is what the documentary says, we have to deal with actual facts when things start. It ain't based on opinion. Too many people freestyle an opinion.
Yeah.
Fact don't mean I put a hash mark behind it and I said fact. That shit don't mean shit. Opinions.
Heather, I know you got to go.
Don't weigh against fact.
Okay. Heather got to go do an Urban View.
Do your thing, Heather. I love you.
I love you too, brother. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So R&B starts with that term, with the R&B rhythm and blues charts.
Hey, Chuck D is here. We're going to do a part 2. Tracy, ask your question.
Okay, I don't know how compact you can make it, Chuck, but
I'll get it
because, the doc, how hip-hop changed the world, it made me think about how has hip-hop changed its own world, its internal world. I'm thinking about, for me, examples are the existence of Lil Nas X, how we've become less homophobic. I'm thinking about a point Heather made last week when we had Toby Anigwe and his wife Fat and along with their children. There was a time once where nobody wanted to claim their woman,
Right.
The appearance of being single was really important to your branding. What are some other examples that stick out for you of how we've changed internally?
Everything that you said now finally looks like the United States of America is catching up to the rest of the world. It's been done in Africa and in so many different places. Women are 30% of hip-hop around the world. They don't get into the one or two, is it Cardi or Nicki debate. They got crews, they got companies, they got collectives, they on the radio, they on TV. Hip-hop around the world, if there was an Olympics, I'm hate to break y'all's heart, but we be struggling for the bronze just like basketball players are struggling. Meaning that we a big place, but we got to work on the craft, and it's great, but just don't think you're going to wake up and it's going to be great. So how it's changed the world has moved fast. We talking language and beats, right? You think the beat started here?
No.
You think language started here? You think we masters of language? You know, people in the United States we barely got one. And we be looking down on people who got two. Like, yo, speak some English. You don't speak English. You barely speak American. Looking at, oh, man, they speaking that Spanish thing. You know, no, so we can learn. And this is, a beginning of making somebody acknowledge. So that's how it's changed the world. Open yourself to the world. You got a computer, latched onto you, either iPhone or Android. It ain't a third. Use it as a tool instead of a toy. If you're under 20, we understand why you want to use it as a toy. If you're over 20, let it behoove you to use it as a tool. Another thing, the last one with hip-hop, I'm going to say, sometimes we got to, stop looking at numbers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the quality is important. Even sometimes when you talk about the art and the craft, the quality is more important than the quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Cuisine is different from McDonald's.
Yeah.
I know we might be sponsored by whatever, but they know what they got. And you know what cuisine is.
Mm-hmm.
When you sit your ass down, wash your hands, and they start serving you whatever, it's a difference there. I just think hip-hop is that. Yeah, it's fast food too. But the whole key is it's all got to be at least presented by the presenters in the best honorable way. And that's why I'm happy and honored I had an opportunity
Absolutely.
to be able to present hip-hop, how Fight the Power, how hip-hop changed the world.
Tuesday, January 31st on PBS. And
Yes.
also the fine art book, Living Loud. This is your first one. All right, it'll be released Tuesday, February 7th, and now available to pre-order at chuckdbook.com. Mike Muse, I'm going to let you get a question.
Mike News!
Man, it's so great to be in a conversation with you and just to hear these stories. It's really fascinating. I'm just curious, man, what you guys did with Public Enemy and you then Chuck D really was groundbreaking in terms of bringing social consciousness and social issues and political issues and social constructs into the music landscape. I'm just curious now, I'm not asking for who's your favorite or top five or anything of that nature, but I look at Kendrick Lamar as someone who's carrying the mantle forward, right? Of advancing and pushing that narrative. It's who are you excited about this next generation of the Public Enemies 2.0, 3.0, 4.0s? Not in any particular order. This isn't about ranking, no chart system. Who are you excited to hear pushing the envelope about storytelling of our culture and social constructs?
Well, I got to say, rapstation.com, I've had it as a minor league situation where we've breaking at least 500 artists every month. So it's not just the ones that we always hear about in the mainstream. This is the major leagues. Mm-hmm. We've been doing it online with our own apps and situations. Matter of fact, I'm debuting a super app in the next 2 weeks, which will usher in the notion of cultural media, which is greater than social media. Because cultural media keeps it to our arts, culture, music, and the vibe. It just doesn't get messy with all the other stuff. I mean, it's not uninviting, but it's really kind of 35 and on up. It's like that Steer Inn I told you about,
okay.
But, on the jukebox. But I would say that, yo, man, I'm amazed, and I be playing these artists. Like Sky Zoo is on his 27th album, man.
Sky Zoo, wow.
People like Terminology, you know what I'm saying?
Boston,
Sampa the Great from Zambia.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
I'm
Stogie T from South Africa.
Right, I'm into this thing so deep. I'm like I'm like the cats in jazz would tell you about Sonny Rollins, man. Mm-hmm. I'm so deep. So when a cat has a conversation with me about hip hop, and then I go deep on them. I mean, we put out charts every week that are 50 to 100 of people ain't heard of them, but it's my service and my honor to present them. It's that's their baby. And a lot of artists go into a studio, and what they want is when they come out, somebody to acknowledge and caretake and handle them. And I keep it simple. I don't try to outstar the song. Here's the artist. Here's the song. Here's where they come from. This is what it's about. Boom. And I lay it out there. This is where you go get it. Simple as that. I come from a time where we honored and looked at Don Cornelius and said, and Don Cornelius, he was the Don. Let me tell you.
Come on.
Don Cornelius, he commanded respect when you walked in the room and everybody went through the Don. You know what I'm saying? Now, everybody talk about, in hindsight, he did this, he did that, whatever. But musically speaking, you had to get your act together coming into the Don. And he curated everybody. From James Brown to Gladys Knight to, Arrested Development, on and on for such a long period. And we miss people like that.
Yeah.
Because they really kept it to like, listen, this is what it is. And he said, okay, do your thing. I'm going to present you. Just don't be fucking my thing up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and that was amazing.
Don
you know?
Cornelius.
Yeah.
Chuck,
But you're like the Don Cornelius right now.
Let 'em
you
know.
give me that?
I'll
Okay,
give
I'll
you
take
that.
that. Okay.
I'll give you that, Sway.
Let me tell you.
Sway, man, really serious. If you had to roll out a carpet of all your accomplishment, man, it's 75 feet long, bro. I remember last time I saw we were doing something like was it Spain or some spot or UK?
It was the you
was covering something.
and it might have been Spain. Was it Spain?
I think it could have been Spain.
It could
whatever.
have been Spain.
But we passed
some
these
shit right here.
We passed these.
That's a flex.
But to show you what this music does, I saw Sway. He saw me. We talked for 2 seconds. He went on to do his super big thing, and I went on to do my thing. I was like, damn, that's good. I mean,
that was beautiful. I remember that, man. I want to ask you this because we got Lord Sear. I wish Lord Sear would come in here.
Where's Lord Sear? Lord Sear, get in here, man. Don't he take over the seat?
Yeah, he does. He's next. I'll be remiss if I didn't ask you about, just real quick, just if you could recall one of your standout moments with Pac and Biggie.
Pac. Little brother.
Yeah.
1990, brought him on tour as well as, also Rest in Beats, my man Shock G.
Yes.
Brought out the hip-hop band, Digital Underground, from the Bay. Great people, all of them. Pac is carrying bags and getting in and hope he could get a verse on the stage as a rookie. Queen Latifah introduces me to her rookies. He says, Chuck, meet young Treacherous. Mm-hmm. And we in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I'm looking at both of them. I'm like, okay. That summer in 1990, these two cats, right? Tretch and Pac. I'm looking at, yo, what up? I've been uncle all my life, right? And hip-hop, like a camp counselor. And I'm looking at them like, listen, yo, I'm telling you, don't get arrested in this town. We not going to come back for you. Just stay, keep your shit between closed doors and all that. They were like, this was their college, man. Yeah. On tour, this was their college. They coming in. And you felt so good for them. And Pac would be like, yo, man, I just want to get that verse in. And sometimes Shock said is an area in the show. Pac gets in that verse and whatever. And it Tretch, with Latifah, get in that verse. And I'm looking at them. I said, they having the time in their life. It was my job and our job as older heads to protect that and make sure they had the time of their life and be on the way because you want them to take over. So, so that's how it was. You move up, you headline, you take over. So that was a beautiful thing. Quick story about Pac. We were in Oklahoma City one time, and somebody went and stole some stuff out of the backstage, out of the S1W. I think stole some equipment, a hat or whatever, and they found the dude. And they said, is this the dude? And I was like, oh. And Pac said, somebody told him, like, yeah, that was the dude. And Pac went upside this dude's head and damn near wanted to. I said, yo, Pac, it ain't that deep, man. But Pac wanted to prove, like, listen, I'm riding for y'all.
Yeah.
Pac, we don't want you to get arrested in OKC, man. It's all right. Biggie, my two occasions. One, I'll go to Daddy O's crib in Brooklyn. Daddy O's putting everybody's music together in Brooklyn. And they turn around and it's just this big dude with a hoodie, and I'm looking straight up his nostrils, and he said, yo, man, this is Biggie Smalls. And they say, oh, nice to meet you, right? The next time, another story about Biggie is when he's playing inside Westbury Music Fair, and right when he had something happen with his leg.
Yeah. Car accident, I think it was.
And I was pushing him in the wheelchair.
And he was pushing him in the wheelchair.
And the story to that, a lot of times people say, man, Chuck, didn't you go after him and Primo and 10 Crack Commandments? And it's a story. It's one of the dumbest shits I ever was associated with, but that's the business aspect of it. When you write a song, you share with other songwriters.
Yeah.
So I let the sample slide, but my other songwriters like, yeah, well, fuck you, Chuck D. I want my money. Because they talk about Bad Boy and getting money.
Loss 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
That's the lawsuit. So,
and me, I was like, yo, I'm like, like they say in music sense, you a gunslinger. You sample, hope you don't get caught. People sample off for you, cool, whatever, But I am only part songwriter. Somebody say, yeah, well, you know what? They talking about how they got money. You can let it slide, Chuck. I want my money. You pay me that money. I'm like, yo, dude. So that's where lawsuits come from.
Oh, okay.
Because when you write a song, you share a song. I never wrote a song I do my art by myself, but you share a song. And every time y'all look at a song, look at the names on the song, and then you know the business is always turning. So you might say, yeah, Chuck is suing this or got sued for that. But there's people out there that says, you know what? You Chuck D. You could make it slide and pass. I ain't Chuck D. I want my money.
Chuck
you know
D, man.
I ain't got
Public Enemy.
They'd be like, yo, I ain't got that integrity, dog. I'm like, all right. And I take the hit.
You, I love that you keep going. Living Loud is his first fine art book. I can't wait to see it. You call it an Artitation by Chuck D. That's released February the 7th. Fight the Power, Hip Hop Changed the World premieres Tuesday, January 31st on PBS.
Nice.
Yeah.
DMC announced that Run and him will do one final show to all of them together.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got to jump on that show. I try to get Flavor. Flav, don't be lazy, man. Show your ass up.
So couldn't that happen? All the Public Enemy come together and do a show?
We do Zoom calls every 2 weeks. Try to get Flav on this damn Zoom call.
Flav, do the show, man.
Do
Let's
the
go.
Zoom call first,
okay.
God damn it.
Do the Zoom call first. And we would love to see Public Enemy come. Matter of fact, T.I. had a question for you.
Yeah, I know y'all brought that up yesterday.
Yo, you saw it? Oh, you call. Okay, so I ain't got to play the question.
Yeah, but Flavor's like this, man. And then I hear him a little bit say, Flavor, he want that Mick Jagger, Keith Richards money for appearances. And I ain't mad because I got split with him.
Yeah.
But me, I'll just show up on Dolo. You know what I'm saying? But Flavor, he's Flavor.
He's Flavor. Okay, well, we just all got to hit up Flav because we'll love to see that. Chuck D, man, we love you, brother.
Yes,
I love
do.
you. I love you.
Love y'all too. I love the crew. I'm sorry
Yes.
I haven't been able to have more of a conversation with
Come
y'all.
back.
Come back, bro.
Part 2.
Always
Loaded.
Well, usually I'm down on the street walking by. It's funny that I did Stephen Colbert last night, and I walk on that street all the time.
Yeah.
But when I was going in and people were going, oh, dude, I walked on the street yesterday.
Yeah, give you Chuck D, man. But come back, bro. Let's do a part 2, man. I want to say thank you for your continued success and your legacy.
No, let's continue.
And
Wait. Let's continue to lock Lord Sear out of here. No,
Where is he at, though? I don't know where he at, man. But Chuck D,
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank
Give it
you,
up
sir.
for Chuck D from Public Enemy. Come back.
Yeah.
Let's do a series.
Yeah, I mean, can we Zoom?
No, fuck that, Chuck. Zoom, man. I'll come there. Where you at? On the west or the? You on the west or?
East, west, soft. I'm like the MC from the north to the south, the east, and the west. Yeah,
go on.
Yeah, yes,
all
indeed.
right, man. I love you, brother.
Love you
Thank
too,
you
bro.
for this conversation. We
Thank
will.
you.
You guys listen back to it, man. There's a lot of gems. A lot of gems. This man is golden and keeps going. All right, this is my brother,
Yep, my bro.
inspiration, and this the homie at the same time, Chuck D, ladies and gentlemen, Chuck D.